Hello folks, this is Scott with Soul Reflections again. I want to go over a topic of how to clean automotive glass. Now, automotive glass, even for professionals, can be incredibly frustrating to get them right, meaning they're completely streak-free, there's no smudges on the glass. And cleaning glass on our car is quite different than cleaning the glass inside our home. Now, the glass that's on cars is subjected to so many different types of elements and so many different type of contaminants where it can be awfully difficult to remove them with just using some type of dedicated glass cleaner that you might choose at home. Now, when we look at this glass here, we have to realize that because I drive in the rain from time to time and the roads get wet, there's a lot of things on the road that when the road gets wet splashes up on this glass. There's stuff like motor oil, brake fluid, transmission fluid. That stuff is laying on the pavement on the highway system, and then when you drive through the rain, that stuff kicks up and splashes all over the glass. And that stuff is really difficult sometimes to actually remove from the glass before you actually start cleaning the glass. And the reason I bring this up is because most dedicated glass cleaners, especially automotive glass cleaners, just in my opinion, they don't have enough bite. They don't have enough surfactants to be able to break down those grease and grime off the glass. And what you'll actually have is when you start spreading or applying a glass cleaner to automotive glass, you'll get all this streaks, you'll get all this smudging or all this smearing, because the glass cleaner just doesn't have the ability to remove some of those contaminants that are on the glass. Now, before we actually clean the glass, excuse me, before we actually clean the glass, we're going to clean the glass, which sounds really funny, and I'll explain why. To be able to remove some of those contaminants that didn't come off during the washing process, and this brings up another point, is most of you are probably going to clean your glass after you've washed your car on a Saturday afternoon, and then you want to clean up the glass. Car soaps today, this is it's kind of a buzzword or a big topic right now with car soaps. Most of the car soaps that we're all buying at the store are either pH balanced or pH neutral. Well, if you actually understand the pH scale, pH balance or pH neutral tells me that most of these car soaps have a lot of water in them. And that could be appropriate, although I'm not saying they don't have some type of cleaning ability. Of course they do. But for the most part, they're very pH balanced or pH neutral. And when we're cleaning our vehicles, we're not necessarily getting all that grease and grime off the glass or off the panel. And that's a little bit frustrating to actually hear. But because these soaps are so gentle, and the reason why they're gentle is, let's say you have a layer of wax or sealant on your vehicle, the last thing you want to do is 2 weeks later use a car soap and it strips all that stuff off the paint. So the soaps today are incredibly gentle because we don't want to remove that layer of protection. So when we come to automotive glass, and before I actually spray some type of dedicated cleaner to this glass surface, I'm going to use something that's called a clay bar. Now, a clay bar is used in many different areas of auto detailing. Typically, it's used to remove bonded contaminants off the surface of the paint. But it becomes incredibly effective and an important tool for me to actually get a spotless, absolutely clean and clear glass without any smudges or streaks before I even clean the glass. And this is how it works. This clay bar, we're actually going to glide it across the surface of the glass, and before we can use the clay bar, we have to have some type of clay lubricant. So it would look something like this. I'm going to spray this glass here with the clay lubricant, and then I'm going to slide the clay bar across the glass. And as I slide this clay bar across the glass, I can feel some of those contaminants kind of giving me a little bit of resistance under the clay bar. And what I'm actually removing with this clay bar before I actually clean the glass with a dedicated glass cleaner, I'm removing some of those bonded contaminants that didn't come off during the washing process, stuff like transmission fluid, brake fluid, also some of the pollution that's floating around in the air can actually stick to the glass as well and not just to the paint. So I want to remove all of those first with the clay bar. So I'm going to continue to drag this across the window and completely clean this glass of all the bonded contaminants. Now also too, what's really great about a clay bar is that it can remove some of those unsightly water spots that we have on the glass. Now, this will remove it will remove a light layer of water spots, but not all water spots are created equal. Some of them, depending on how long they've been on the glass, can actually start to etch the glass. But if you have some minor or a minor level of water spots on the glass, the clay bar is incredibly effective with removing them. So once I'm done with that process, I'm going to take a microfiber and just mop up and dry up the clay loop that's on the glass. Now what I have, I know that you guys can't feel this, but I'll touch this glass, even though I got some moisture or oils on the tips of my fingers. I traditionally wouldn't do this, but for the sake of this video, if I drag my finger across this glass, it's absolutely silky smooth. It has no bonded contaminants at all. It doesn't feel rough whatsoever, and now it's ready to actually be cleaned with the dedicated glass cleaner. Now when it comes to using a dedicated glass cleaner, especially for automotive use, again, I find that these cleaners just don't have enough bite. They don't have enough surfactants with them to be able to remove all that grease and grime that may be on the window. And some of you may have used a dedicated glass cleaner and you're trying to clean the glass and you'll get all these smears, smudges, and streaks all over the glass, and you keep going over it so many different times. That's why a clay bar is incredibly effective with removing all that stuff before you actually clean the glass. When I clean the glass, I actually use a 2-towel method. What that actually means is that I have one towel that I'm going to use just to apply the glass cleaner. Now this towel I have in my hand is actually somewhat damp. I actually ran it under some water and then I completely wrung it out, so it's just slightly damp now. I'll use this as my towel to apply the glass cleaner. So what I typically do is I use a glass cleaner like this one here made by Meguiar's, and I'll spray it to the surface of the damp towel, and it would look something like that. And then I'll take this damp towel and apply the glass cleaner to the actual glass. And then before it has a chance to dry up or flash on me, I'll take a separate towel, which is a microfiber towel as well, and this one is completely dry, and this is going to help me mop up the glass cleaner that I just applied to the glass. Now what I have here, and I don't know if the video is picking it up, but prior to actually using the clay bar, I had some tiny water spots on there. I could also feel the glass before I actually clay barred it. It was a little bit rough. There was some bonded contaminants on the glass. But now that I've clayed it, before I've actually cleaned it, I can feel this right now, and it's completely silky smooth. And also there are no streaks or smudges or any type of imperfections in the glass. It's absolutely clear, and it looks absolutely amazing, and that's the effect that we're looking for. So when I'm cleaning glass professionally, again, I want to remove all those bonded contaminants from the paint that didn't come off during the washing process, and I use the clay bar for that. And then I employ a 2-towel method. One towel is going to be slightly damp, and I use that to be able to apply my glass cleaner to the glass, and then before it actually dries up or flashes on me, I take a dry microfiber and I go back in there and completely dry off the surface, and that will reveal an absolutely clear layer of glass. There'll be no smudges, no streaks, and this is kind of a professional tip, or the way I actually clean glass, so that I don't have any smudge or streaks on the glass, and it looks absolutely amazing. So hopefully that's helped you out a little bit. If you're having some frustration with the glass cleaner you picked, don't blame yourself. It's just the way it is. We have to remove those contaminants and some of that grease and grime that was left there on the glass, even though we washed our vehicle, because again, these car soaps just really aren't all that effective today to be able to remove that. We just have to employ some extra steps just to be able to assure that we have perfect glass. Again, I hope this has helped you out a little bit. I'm Scott with Soul Reflections. Until next time, be safe. Take care.